All right, so now we're gonna adjust the guide rollers down so they're actually pressing on the blade. The factory instructions say it needs to deflect the blade down 1/8 of an inch. So the first thing we're gonna do, I'm measuring off a beam on the bottom here and measuring to figure out what our initial starting point is. My big old head's gonna block you guys' view. 20 1/4. There. We should be 20 1/4 on this side too. Actually a little bit greater on this side. So what that says is that on this side, yeah, we're already being pushed down a little bit. So we need to loosen that bolt there. Oh no, it can't be pushed down. Should be even when you start. Okay, we're like 20 and maybe 5/16 over here. I'm measuring just inside the roller. So we'll come over here. Yeah, okay, we're 20 and 5/16 now. So we need to go down to 20 and 3/16 basically. And the blade is gonna wanna push the guide rollers up right now. One other thing, watch your camera falling over. The other thing you're gonna wanna do is just to be double sure that you're level in the end, check the level of your mill. Not that it matters too much as long as it all measures the same. So my mill's actually not level, left side to side. We're about 1/3 of a bubble out, saying that the mill is actually higher on the right hand side when you're behind the mill. About 1/3 of a bubble out. So I put on my blade, it should say the same thing. And there you go. 1/3 of a bubble. So I am, my saw head with respect to the deck is level. That's fine. And we measured 20 and 5/16 on both sides. So now all I'm gonna do is drive this down, this retainer bolt, and drive the other side down a little bit until they press that blade down, deflect it down about 1/8 of an inch. I thought I had it set about 1/8 of an inch the other night, so I think I'm actually gonna go just a hair more today. Maybe 3/30 seconds or something, or 5/30 seconds. Stop whining. Why are you crying? What's wrong? What? What? Show me. Your foot. What about your foot? Your leg is bleeding? What happened? Shh, hey, stop. Did you put dirt on it? Okay, put dirt on it. That's always step one, buddy. That's always step one. Put dirt on it. Okay. So what do we say? 20 and 5/16. The datum that you start at doesn't matter. Now, oh, you know what? What the hell? My guide roller here isn't even touching the blade. What in the world? How does that make any sense? Now it is. Ain't that something? Okay. Recheck our datum. Yeah, I guess that's still fine. Okay, I had myself confused for a second there. No. Oh. These things want to give you a hard time. Okay. Yeah, you don't want your guide rollers pressing on the blade at all when you start. That makes sense. Okay. Okay, I'll get it right, folks, I promise. 20 and 5/16. And 20 and 5/16. Make sure you're measuring the down in the throat of the blade, or you measure off the back of the blade would work too, but don't measure off the tip of the tooth because your teeth are actually offset. So 20 and 5/16. So now, as we drive my guide roller here down, this whole tray and everything is all driven. Stop it. What?
I love it.
I love you too, bud. You take a funny way of telling me that, though. That's for sure. You come over here moaning and groaning. I don't know if this little set bolt is going to be long enough, but we shall try. I have to swap it out with the longer one from the other side. So you've got your main bolt, and this is actually the lock nut on it here. So we've got to shorten those two up as much as I can. I don't think I'm going to be able to do it.
Dad, I made a reader.
You made a what?
I made a reader.
Kind of looks like one, buddy. Oh, Lord. I don't know if you guys can hear what he's saying or not, but if you can, you can, and if you can't, well, I'm not going to tell you. All right, so we're down to 16th there. Let's push a little further. Man, I'm just going to be maxing out this set screw. But if it can do it, I'll let it do it. $20 and 3/16 there. So now we're pushing down tight. Now, that one's set. Now you have to turn just the nut to tighten it down without turning the bolt above it. So you've actually got to set your ratchet to be on loosen mode to keep the nut from turning, or the bolt, because we don't want the bolt to turn now. We've got it set right, so now we're just going to set this nut down and lock it down on top of that little flange there. So that should be it. That should not move. 20 and 3/16. This other side will be a little easier. I say that. By all means, it should be. Look at here. Come into focus a little bit. This kind of sucks that I have a log on here. I wish I wouldn't. I thought I had it all ready to go. That's why I put the log on. So this is a good kind of redundant system. The tension of the blade is going to want to make these rollers rise up. So just having this nut pushing down on it should be enough to hold it, but you'll also lock down your actual lock nut too when it's done, just to doubly reinforce it. That makes sense. We'll lock down this bolt that goes through the roller. $20 and 3/16. Now, back up. I'm really happy I used that longer bolt. I'm happy it was able to work out. So now we just put back up on there. Lock that down. Release your socket off there if you can. Now, these Teflon nuts that I was talking about. These are the last thing you lock up. Just to give you that little extra squeeze. In theory, these aren't gonna keep the roller from moving up. But it sure won't hurt to have them on there too. Check our level just for fun. 1/3 of a bubble. So that's why you'd want to check your level before you start, because if for some reason you didn't measure correctly, if this bubble level says something different than what the level on your deck says, that tells you that one side of your guide rollers is higher or lower. And if that's the case, your boards would always be thicker on one side than the other. And we'll slide back over here. See if I can find some way to get this wrench on the back of that nut. You're fine. My wrench is just a hair too big open. My crescent. You get on there. Oh, I can't get it on there because of other stuff. That's why it wouldn't fit on. It was tight enough. It was the right setting. Couldn't get it on there because it was hitting the frame. Darn, burn it. These new guide rollers are greasable, which is pretty nice. And he told me, Timberking, he said they come from the factory greased. So he said don't grease them for the first 8 hours. And then when you do go to grease them, just a little pump. Nothing great. All right. So the blade now doesn't want to deflect up. When you turn the blade by hand, it's turning both the rollers, which is good. It means making contact. Okay, let's clean up these tools and let's try to make another pass.